This is the story of families told over 3 generations. Their lives have spanned a century and have been touched by some of the most significant events of 20th century American history. Dreams have brought these families together, and dreams have torn them apart. Their stories take us to the heart and soul of the American dream.
Life is not a clean upward thrust, and the American dream is not a straight ladder up, kind of a corkscrew spiral and ups and downs. There's no place in the world that has had such a profile to its history.
We're an old family in a young country, but as far as I'm concerned, every member of my family, myself included, have got to make it on their own, just the way that the most recent immigrant has to make it.
The American character, some say, was born on the frontier. It was a harsh yet beckoning place, still beyond the reach of law. Out here, Americans were driven to risk and innovate, to gamble and dream. On the frontier, eyes were fixed on the future, not the past. As the 20th century began, life was changing. But dreams lived on.
My mother and father, they were farming people. They grew big gardens and raised lots of vegetables, and they had fruit. A lot of people were real self-sufficient. A lot of people walked for miles. Kids walked to school, and they would have this hitching rack at the school, and they'd ride the horse to school and tie it up there till they got out of school.
Jewel Blankenship, born in 1915, came from Ouachita County, Oklahoma. Her people were tenant farmers.
I'm sure they had dreams of owning their own farm, but then my father, he became ill. I was 8 years old when my father passed away, and so I had a lot of responsibility.
Jewel went to work in the fields along with her mother and their neighbors. But in the 1920s, their way of life was coming to an end. Powerful new machines were planting too much too often, killing the prairie. When the rains failed, people's ambitions broke too.
Women and children fight their way through blinding dust to carry on their daily tasks. The patient, uncomprehending victims of wind and shattered earth.
I saw one dust storm that I remember real vividly. It began to come like a cloud coming up. We just got in that house and stayed in there, and that came on over, and it just blinded the sun, and it got darker and darker and blew harder and harder.
Before the dust storm, we had 3 or 4 years of almost no rain at all. And the cattle was skinny. You couldn't grow nothing.
The Wolfords were from Arkansas. 4 generations had worked the land as sharecroppers.
It was pretty rough, but anyhow, they were healthy, hard-working people, and so we just done the best we could. Sometimes we would be coming this way west, and we would come to a mile or so of the road that was just completely covered up, sand about 4, 5, or 6 feet deep. Sometimes it'd take us a half an hour to go 100 yards.
It just kept coming and covering the sun, and we got more fearful.
We were facing the wind, the sand, and different things that cut us to pieces nearly.
We thought it was like the world's coming to an end or something, I guess. A few people didn't know hardly whether to live or die when you see everything you've got gone and destroyed.
What did come to an end for many was the American impulse to hope and to dream.